You are watching Melody Lane. With me, you're gonna have a great crafting time.
Well, hello there everyone. It's Holly with Melody Lane Inspired, and today I'm going to give you a tutorial on using some Infusible Ink transfer sheets on the Cricut aluminum sheets. It gives a really cool effect, and then we're also going to throw on some smart vinyl on there. So let's go ahead and get into the tutorial. So we are going to be using a few things from Cricut's Red Carpet Mystery Box that just came out. Links are below if you want to purchase those or see what's in those. But we did get this smart vinyl and this heat resistant tape in that box. So we're going to go ahead and use these two items. And then in addition to those two items, I'm going to be using the Cricut aluminum sheets, and I'm using the 5x7 size. As you can see, they are compatible with Infusible Ink. And then we are also going to be using some Infusible Ink transfer sheets. And I'm using the pattern Rainbow Watercolor Splash. So first let's look at the project in Design Space. So once I have my project ready, I'm going to go ahead and choose Make It. Now for this, I'm going to choose multiple ways because I am using the Smart Vinyl, which is matless. But then I'm also going to be putting the Infusible Ink on a mat. So I'm going to choose multiple ways. And then here is my sheet here. Now over on the left, you will see that it says this is without a mat. I chose multiple ways so I can actually go in here and choose. This is going to be the Infusible Ink transfer sheet, so I am going to put that on a mat. Now you're going to see me move this. This is only because I had a piece that was like a perfect scrap size, but it's going to cut really close. So instead of just trying to get my placement perfect on there, if I move it down to the line, I know exactly where to place it instead of like, oh, halfway between the 0 and the 1. I'm not going to get that exact. But when I place it here, I can actually get it right on the line where I need. Now you can just go ahead and browse your materials and choose Infusible Ink transfer sheet. And then it will tell you make sure your mirror is turned on and the material is inked side up. Now I'm just doing a rectangle, so I don't need to necessarily mirror it because it's not like there's any words or an image that's going to come out backwards. Now I'm just going to take that Infusible Ink transfer sheet and place that onto my cutting mat. Now I had moved the object on the mat so I could get it right on these lines. And as you can see here, I have the bottom of my sheet lined up perfectly on the line. And that's not going to necessarily even need to cut there. So that bottom line, I'm not expecting it to cut. But I did have this folded up some. This was leftover scrap. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure and get all of the bumps out of it. It's actually really satisfying. Just listen to that crack. Now you can go ahead and load your machine. It's just going to check your mat length. And then once it's done, it'll light up again. You can go ahead and give it the go. Now we can go ahead and unload our mat. And I like to flip mine over and then peel off the Infusible Ink sheet. Now we're just going to go ahead and weed this. And with the Infusible Ink transfer sheets, you're just going to bend them. So like think of bend and snap. Now remember my one edge, I cut right down on it, so it actually didn't cut that. So I'm not going to have any to peel off the bottom. So I'm just going to go around, and it did cut just a little bit on the top. This was like perfect size to use for my scrap piece. Now we're going to go ahead and apply it with our heat press. So here I'm going to be using the Cricut Easy Press 3. You're going to want to have your Cricut mat, and you're also going to want to have a piece of white cardstock, and then also that heat-resistant tape. Now with the Cricut Easy Press 3, it does work with the Heat app, so we're going to go ahead and go into the Heat app and then put in our materials, and it's going to set it for the time and temp that we need. So once you open up the Cricut Heat app, you're just going to go ahead and choose what press you're using. Here I'm using the Easy Press 3. Then choose your transfer material. Infusible Ink will be down at the bottom. And then once you choose Infusible Ink, it's going to give you the option of different Cricut blanks. And that's where you're going to choose the aluminum sheets. So it's letting me know that we're going to press it for 40 seconds at 385 degrees. It will also go ahead and give you instructions here of what all you need. And you can actually see detailed instructions too that walk you through step by step and even give you a little video. Now, if you don't have the Easy Press 3 and you're using the Easy Press or the Easy Press 2 or the Mini Press, you can go ahead and look up the Cricut Heat Guide. That will give you the time and temp also. Now make sure to get the heat press instructions. You do have to click the button that says Cricut Pressing Mat before it will give you the time and temp. Since I'm using the Easy Press 3 with the Heat app, it automatically went and sent my settings over. So you can see it's set for 385 degrees for 40 seconds. Now while you're waiting for your heat press to heat up, we can go ahead and get our aluminum sheet ready. Now when the aluminum sheet, there's going to be two different sides. One you're going to see a gold film on, and the other is the silver side. So the gold side we are going to want to put down because that is not the side that the infusible ink will adhere to. So you can go ahead and pull the gold film off. Do lay down a piece of white cardstock because there could be transfer from the infusible ink, so that will protect your pressing mat. So you can go ahead, and this is the side that we want side up. So I'm just going to flip it over, pull off the gold film, and then make sure you set that down so you remember which side is which, because it does look exactly pretty much the same. And then go ahead and carefully remove the film on this side. You don't want to nick the aluminum sheet, so however works for you. I like to take the weeding tool in there and go at an angle, but being very careful not to nick it. Now go ahead and set that down on the cardstock. Next, we're going to take the lint-free cloth. Now you will find this inside the package of Infusible Ink transfer sheets. And you're just going to go ahead and go across the material to remove any lint that may be on it. Now we're going to take that Infusible Ink transfer sheet and we're going to put the inked side down so it's on the aluminum. You're going to want to make sure and get that right over. Now this piece was the exact size. I do recommend actually cut it just a little bit slightly bigger. That way you don't have to worry if it is exactly on there. Even if you go like 0.1 or 0.2 bigger than you need, then it'll just hang over a little bit and you don't have to worry about it being on there exact. This piece did fit exactly like lengthwise though, because it was a scrap piece. Now you're going to take your heat resistant tape. Here I'm using the purple one, which is the strong heat resistant tape. You do not need to use that one. You can use the regular. I just had many rolls of this next to me and that's what I used here. I'm just going to go around it and then secure it to the cardstock. And you don't want to put the tape too far up on the image. I actually go back and move this piece down because I was like, why do I have it mostly on the image? So you just want a little bit on the image and then most of it to go onto the cardstock. And this is where I go back and I just remove this piece and then I'm just going to move it so majority of it's on the cardstock and just a little bit is there holding on the infusible ink. And then once we get that all secured on, we are ready to move on to the next step. Now on top of this, you're going to take your butcher paper. Now the butcher paper is also found in the tubes of the Infusible Ink transfer sheets. And it is reusable also. So once you use it, don't throw it away because you can use it again. So now we're just going to go ahead and take our press. Got the cord stuck there. Once I get it on here, I'm going to not want to move it. Go ahead and hit go. And this one needs no pressure. And you don't want to move it at all. You want to think of the Infusible Ink as almost like paint on the other side. It's not paint, but if it was like wet paint, you wouldn't want to move it, right? Because it could smear it. So you just think of it as the same there. Now you're going to want to let this cool. It's going to be very, very warm. So once it is cool, then you can go ahead and remove the transfer sheet. And if you want to peek to see if it transferred, you can go ahead, pull up an edge. Now be very, very careful not to move it because if you place it back down and you press it again, the image may not be in the right place. So you can just peek at an edge if you'd like and then see if it transferred. You can, I find going like 45 seconds pressing works good too. And now for my favorite part, the reveal, where you get to see how it transferred. Now you can see as I pull this transfer sheet off, all that color went into the infusible sheet and it became more vibrant than it was before you press it because that's how the Infusible Ink transfer sheets works. But isn't that pretty? It's so pretty. Now I wasn't sure if the bottom was just like ghosted or the print, but when I looked at the print earlier, I was like, oh no, it is just actually lighter there. Otherwise, if it didn't transfer, you just give it a little more heat and then it would transfer more of the color over. But now we're going to look at the cardstock underneath. Now this is why you put that piece of cardstock underneath because some of it can transfer onto that and you don't want to get that on your pressing mat. Now let's take our Smart Permanent Vinyl. Now we can go ahead and cut it in design space. Now when it is a smart material and you go to browse all materials, it is going to show you what's compatible. So as you can see, it is showing us here all the different smart materials. Now this is for the Maker 3 and Explorer 3 as the smart material where it cuts matless. If you are using another machine, don't worry, you can still use it. You're just going to want to cut it down to size and then put it on a mat. So then you would choose to have it all on mats instead of where I chose at the beginning, multiple ways, because you won't be cutting matless. You're just going to want to choose with mats. So if you are cutting another machine, you're going to want to look at your materials and you're just going to choose premium vinyl and then choose more pressure. My load button is blinking because I've set the settings to it. So now I'm just going to go ahead and take my smart vinyl and line it up under my guides there, making sure it's feeding through straight. And then this actually cuts really quick, so I'm going to go ahead and let this cut at actual speed. That way you can see how fast it cuts. So that was pretty quick, right? It cut that piece in just about a minute. So now I'm going to go ahead and weed my vinyl. I always like to take my weeding tool and stick it through at an angle. Make sure you don't poke it through the back and poke yourself because it is sharp. So go ahead and peel back slowly. You're going to peel across it. And then look for any little pieces that may be coming up. So you can go ahead and press those down if you have any. As I peel, I like to cut off the excess because it just makes it easier to work with. Okay, now that we have that all weeded, looks good. So now I'm just going to go ahead and take some of my Cricut transfer tape. You can go ahead and cut that down to the size that you need. I'm just going to take that transfer tape, separate it from the backing there. And I'm going to go ahead and place it over my vinyl here, and I'm going to smooth it from one side to the other. I also tell you to go ahead and apply it starting at the middle and then smooth it out to each side. Just works better for me when I do it this way. So just go ahead and press it, and I'm just going to press it across. And you want to make sure you're not getting any bubbles in it because you don't want any bubbles between that and the vinyl. So I just like to take my time and smooth across nicely. I like to take my scraper to it and then go across in one direction just in case there's any bubbles out there. Just in case there's any bubbles in there, it will help to get them out. I'm just going to go ahead and peel our backing off. Make sure as you're doing this, you're checking to make sure that no pieces are sticking to the backing there. If it were to stick, just go ahead and give it a little rub on the back and then peel back slowly. I had a little piece there sticking, and there we go. We got it. The backing on the smart vinyl is a thicker backing than on the regular vinyl. Just go ahead and bend it over there and pull it off. Now we are ready to apply the vinyl to the aluminum sheet. I like to get right over my project when I'm applying vinyl. I'm going to go ahead and put it down. Again, I work from one edge working across, but you can go ahead and apply from the middle and then smooth out. Also, that's actually the recommended method. I've just had it fold on me, and so this one just works best for me. I usually have pretty good results. And then again, I like to take my scraper. I like to use my scraper a lot. It just helps to get any bubbles out. And then once it's pressed down, we're going to go ahead and pull this back. Again, you're going to want to pull it like straight across it. And there it is. There is the finished aluminum sheet. Isn't that not so cool? I love the way it turned out. And then I happen to have a 5x7 picture frame sitting around, so bam, put it in a picture frame, and then it can go behind me where I craft. I love it. The dream, create, inspire. Is it not so melody too? The colors, the everything. I love the way it turned out. So if you have not tried Infusible Ink on aluminum sheets, you've got to do it. And that was a fun craft today. I love making things that look different. And people are like, wait, how did you do that? And this one totally does that. So go ahead and make this as a gift. Amaze your friends and your family. Thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you learned something. I hope I inspired you to make a different craft that you might not have tried before. So if you enjoyed this, go ahead, give us the thumbs up, the like, and the subscribe, please. We'll be bringing you all kinds of videos on everything Cricut. All of the projects you see us make on here are available to our Patreon members. Starting at just $2 a month, they get access to over 1,000 projects that we make and our 24/7 crafting Zoom. For more info on that, just go on over to patreon.com/melodylane. And I hope you all have a wonderful week. And from everyone at Melody Lane Inspired, we thank you. Special shout out to our admins. Those ladies rock. And thank you to all our supporters and sponsors. And we will see you all next time. Happy crafting, everyone. Bye.